In 2023, Siya Kolisi hoisted the Webb Ellis Trophy in astounding back-to-back Rugby World Cup victories, making it an unprecedented fourth World Cup win for South Africa. It seems like a distant memory, yet not that long ago, Springbok Rugby was at all-time lows. Shock first ever defeat to Japan and Italy, a 57-0 whitewash by the All Blacks, and falling down to 6th in the IRB World Rugby rankings.
Credit to them, they said they were going to come out firing, just not good enough from the box.
In hindsight, we can only look back and applaud on the progress made and wonder, how did South African rugby turn it all around? So join us as we take an in-depth look at the amazing comeback of the Springboks, the resurgence under Rassie. A nation united by green and gold, stronger together. One thing is for certain, when the Springboks play, the country comes to a standstill. A nation so obsessed with the game, Saturdays are spent with passionate renditions of Nkosi Sikelel' Africa. The smell of meat sizzling on the braai across the neighbourhood, and the sound of cheers for the team they love so much, the Bokke. However, it was not always this way. To grasp how far this Springbok squad has come, let's step back in time to witness and appreciate their resurgence under Rassie. Although finishing the 2015 World Cup under Heyneke Meyer as bronze medalist, the Boks suffered a demoralising loss to Japan in pool play, a loss which immediately resulted in changes being implemented in South African rugby. Following this, Stormers boss Alistair Coetzee was appointed as Springbok coach. Coetzee came into the role with a fantastic Super Rugby record, but it didn't translate to Test rugby. Only 11 wins in 25 games and a quick decline in the rankings, further punctuated by a devastating loss to the All Blacks. Sentiment in the proud rugby nation was at an all-time low. Now, who could the Springboks turn to? Who was willing to step up to the plate and pull South Africa rugby out of distress? Up stepped crowd favourite and mentor, Rassie Erasmus. A maverick, controversial to some, genius to others, love him or hate him, no one can deny his brilliance. Rassie brought with him trusted aide Jacques Nienaber, and together with their coaching staff, they had the mammoth task of reviving South African rugby.
You shouldn't even have been here. Some of you from where you come from shouldn't even have been here, Marvin. This was not supposed to be your movie, your story. One
of Rassie's first major calls was to appoint Siya Kolisi as squad captain, moving forward into the 2019 RWC. The soft-spoken Kolisi stated that his appointment surprised him as much as anyone else. This was one of the many masterstrokes conjured up by Rassie as part of his master plan to save the Boks. In Kolisi, Rassie had the embodiment of hope and that all is possible through hard work and determination. Kolisi's story is one of overcoming hardships and not letting circumstances define who you are.
As a man, can I say I love another man because I really love the guy, and yeah, it's just awesome for me to see him as captain and leading a team, and I mean I'll be there to back him all the way.
He was also given the unenviable task of leading the Boks when morale was low and finger pointing was high. Erasmus looked to implement new strategies. For this to be successful, the Springboks needed unity to together find their lost DNA. They were forging a new identity, rooted in wearing the coveted green and gold jersey, which represented something bigger than themselves, a brotherhood. In Kolisi, Rassie saw the potential to achieve this. The tactical coach began to reconstruct the Boks with depth in every position. Ever a student of the game and innovator, the resurgence of the Boks had begun. At the same time, Rassie ensured that domestic rugby was not neglected, so that at that level, talent worthy of wearing the green and gold was produced continually. Now, winning the 2019 World Cup was never part of the plan. The sights were always set on 23, with 2019 being a stepping stone to growing confidence and gain valuable high-level match exposure. Meanwhile, the Springbok squad had developed an incredible set piece, scrummaging other teams into the ground and eventually finding themselves in an unlikely final matchup with a favoured England side. No one could have predicted what happened next, as South Africa put on a most outstanding display to win the game 32 points to 12. With the likes of custodian Etzebeth and Beast powering up front, Mapimpi with a spectacular try down the left flank in the 65th minute almost certainly sealed their victory. Fellow speedster Colby, not to be outdone, followed suit, scoring an individual try in the 74th minute down the right flank. What makes this squad special is that they play for something so much bigger than themselves. They unite a nation and they inspire hope.
Be here, and I just want to tell the people of South Africa, thank you so much. Children from a third world country, who just fight and fight over and over, for people that need hope. And this team just shows what diversity can do for our team.
The Springboks had reclaimed their throne, but celebrations had to be put aside. Looking to build on their success in 2020, they now focused on the incoming storm, a star-studded Warren Gatland-led British and Irish Lions. Rassie, now the director of rugby and makeshift water boy, expertly drew media attention away from his players and onto himself with public critiques of referee performances. Whether you agree with this approach or not, it seemed to have a positive effect. The Lions won the first test 22-17, but the Boks came back to win 27-9 in the second test a week later. The final test was a close-knit 19-16 affair to the home side with a late penalty goal thanks to the returning goal-kicking ace Maurice Steyn. A master of the mind games, Erasmus did what he does best, as did the Springbok side in winning the nail-biting series. The next step, an attempt at retaining the Rugby World Cup. The tide was turning for South Africa. Now, opposition coaches have tried everything in the book to counter Rassie and his coaching tactics. The Blue Bulls tried turning off the electricity leading to his lights, and even tried switching the colours. Undaunted, he continued to be an innovator and find the competitive advantage. The lead up to the 2023 RWC was no different. With their unique statistical scoring system, the Springbok coaching staff unveiled the way in which they track players' output, with ex-7 star Kwagga Smith being the cherry on the cake. This system ensured, with almost pinpoint accuracy, the work rate of any individual player, resulting in precise team selection relative to who the next game was against. What's more, the Springboks introduce a shock 6-2 split on the bench.
This is without doubt the boldest bench selection in the history of World Cup.
Something which had the talking heads abuzz. This ensured that the Springboks played to their strengths, and when opposition forwards were tiring in the second half, they'd have to look up and see the likes of Malcolm Marx, Archie Snyman and Stephen Kitsoff coming off the bench. The bomb squad. Able to rotate the squad thanks to the depth built, regardless of who was the starter, the Springboks could ensure it was a player of the highest quality, going so far as to try their hand at a 7-1 split, and even taking the brazen move to scrum off a mark in their own 22, of which the mastermind coach explained post-match. Away from the tactics, the team had truly formed a love for one another and a special camaraderie. Their DNA had changed. Although the 2019 Boks side had outdone themselves, the 2023 edition was different. They now had attacking prowess to go with brutal power up front, exciting attack, dogged defence and an approach which plays to the South African strengths. Kolisi led the Springboks once more to World Cup glory. After a tough loss to Ireland in the group phase, the Springboks showed their never-say-die attitude, as they narrowly beat host France 29 points to 28 in a 7-try thriller. Post-match, Captain Kolisi said, "We play for the nation. It's not about us on this field anymore. It's about the people back home." Like the great gentleman he is, Kolisi paid tribute to France at their loss in front of the home crowd.
How tough it was going to be with the French team at home, and honestly I just want to say well done to them for what they've achieved and how hard they worked, and also to the supporters, the people of France.
Semi-finalists England put up a fight, However, South Africa would emerge victorious with a 16-15 win, with Pollard coming out with man of the match honours. Finally, in another 1-point game, they defeated the All Blacks by 12 points to 11. It required a winning mentality and a few clutch moments from Andre Pollard. Inspirational performers and nation uniters again. On behalf of the team, Kolisi lifted the Webb Ellis Trophy for a second time. Being selected for the Springboks is the greatest honour for a South African, and there are certain requirements necessary to wear the jersey. To be part of this squad, right at the top of the shopping list is that you play with heart and put your body on the line. This team emphasises that in every way possible, and it's displayed for all to see by the likes of PSDT, Etzebeth and Oxenchair. They have done South Africa so very proud. Not too long ago, for the first time ever, there were empty seats at a Springbok home game. Now the games are sold out in minutes. Bok fever runs wild and the streets are filled with celebration. More than just a rugby team, giants among men and living legends, the hope of a nation. This Springbok team has grown in leaps and bounds. The introduction of attack genius, former Otago stalwart Tony Brown, looks to help the Boks go into another gear as they attempt the impossible, a three-peat of the Rugby World Cup. A comeback like no other. How far do you think they can go? Now, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the comeback of the Springboks and the Rassie factor. As always, thanks for watching, leave a comment down below and subscribe to help us bring you more great rugby content. Stay tuned.